Today's story was written by Reddit user JohnGaldt. Zarnath sat squat, hands clinging to his rifle like a lifeline. He counted down slowly, 20 seconds. Glancing to his left and right, he could see his company largely agreed with the decision. They were all ducked down in cover, waiting, thinking about the dwindling supply of evacuation ships. 10 seconds. 5. He cringed and hoped it wouldn't be him. Wham! A loud concussive blast rattled him and the crate. The dust settled in Station Massivan's 8th cargo bay, and Zarnath took the opportunity to quickly glance over the crate. It looked the same. 800 metres of poor cover, scorch marks, no visibility in the heavy smoke, and shot-out lights. No TARC soldiers advancing. His duty as watch completed, he ducked down and started counting out the 2 minutes until the next long-range explosive would hit. There were a few blind shots fired around corners, just enough that it looked like the soldiers were doing their jobs. When Zarnath settled back down, he saw a figure walking toward him. Standing tall and without a care in the world, he carried a heavy lump of boxy metal with a long barrel ending in a knife. It had a thick belt running to a box hanging off the human's hip. He was in the dark grey camouflage that marked him as part of the Massivan's militia, but was walking like an oblivious civilian, and the bright red pointed hat he wore negated any benefit of the camouflage. As Zarnath watched, a few laser shots cracked through the air as though demonstrating his point. "Get down!" shouted Zarnath. "No use ducking, the bullets are already past you. Who's in command here?" "Former Officer Zilna, sir?" "Former?" Zarnath nodded over to his side, where a mound of smouldering grain lay. It had blown out of a shipment their officer had been using for cover. The human clucked his tongue, looking out toward the TARC lines, and nodded. "I think that's the bugger who took a shot at me," he said. Zarnath had lost count of when the next explosion would hit, but if the human could stand in broad view of the enemy, he could peek over a crate. He brought up his binoculars and scanned the far wall, past the landed broken husk of the failed defence fleet, where the human had nodded. Sure enough, he saw a dull grey shape huddled down. "Broken fighter, 12 o'clock, by the nose on the floor, 707 metres, the dull grey shape," called Zarnath into his radio without taking his eyes off the shape. The screen flashed white for a few moments, clearing and adjusting its brightness to reveal a glowing buckled bulkhead and remnants of the fighter's nose cone. "Yes, that's him. Good shot to your brother. Well, cheerio," he said, and started waltzing off towards the enemy at a leisurely stroll. "Sir, where are you going?" "The TARC's over there. I'm not much use back here." "There isn't any cover." The human stopped and considered that for a moment. "We could make a run for it. Are your men up for a bit of a jog?" Zarnath looked about his company to see all eyes on him and his odd conversation partner. They looked hopeful for the first time since they had entered this damned level. "We will all go at once," said Zarnath. A warm smile greeted him in return from the human before the whistle was lifted to his lips. It shrieked out as the only warning before the humans started running. There was the loud concussion of the latest 2-minute explosion. If there was the time to run, it was now. Zarnath rose and took after the officer, keeping his head low as he ran. There was a loud shocking thunder belching from the human's gun, a repeated tack tack tack. He remembered the human words, "There's no point ducking, the shot's already past you," and rose to his full height, filling his lungs with air and keeping his eyes on the enemy's cover. Laser fire came their way and he raised his rifle, echoing shots back at the little sparking muzzle flashes from the TARC rifles. Soon his whole team was firing and running behind him, albeit at a bit of a distance. The human, however, had no such regard for his safety, charging alone toward the enemy at the front. Their fire slowed, probably due to the unknown terrifying weapon in the human's hands. All Zarnath had to do was follow that red hat as it slowly faded into the thickening smoke. Whenever doubt crept in, he heard that weapon and knew safety lay on the other side. Even as he lost sight of the hat, he could run towards the shots. The smoke cleared, illuminated by small fires, and he found the human slumped down against a crate by the enemy's now silent mortar. The knife extending from the human's weapon, dripping in dark blood from the corpses that lay around him. The human's clothes started to stain the same colour as his hat. "Hello again. In a bit of a spot of bother. Could you do me a favour?" Zarnath knelt down, then flinched as the human fired off another burst from the automatic rifle that hung slack. He wasn't shooting at anything, just shooting for the sake of it. Zarnath opened his medical kit, unsure of what he had that was compatible with human anatomy. "You're hurt," said Zarnath. "Well, yes, but can you keep her firing? The men like it," said the human. Zarnath was held by the steady gaze. It was the first time he had seen the human look serious. Zarnath nodded, his head dipping low so the shoulder strap could be passed over him. "They won't be able to evacuate the whole station. There is only one way to save those who will be left behind," said the human, before slapping the red hat on Zarnath's head.